The 10-minute drill.
This is a big one.
Covered by Universal Roof and Contracting. The difference is Universal.
On 1010XL.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hit it.
All right, well, we're running out of opportunities, gang. The Friday 5-pack continues in about 20 minutes here,
right.
So we'll offer up our suggestions for this week. Before we get into the 10-minute drill, we're not your weather and traffic station. We, as a group, collectively find that to be the most boring format of radio ever imaginable. It's called a cell phone. You can just check it real quick if you're worried about the weather or traffic. But if there's a major calamity out on the roadways in our town in your morning drive, we're certainly going to pass that along. And there is something going on
if you're at
210
east of 95, like by the pilot station,
okay, yeah,
there's an overturned vehicle. The road's completely blocked eastbound, traffic being diverted away, so there's a lot of congestion.
So you're going to want to get over to Phillips or stay on 95, but 210 East pretty much shut down there in St. Johns County. At that basically is the truck stop there, the pilot station. So just be aware of that. And we'll take our little tour of the sports headlines.
And before we get to our sports concepts and rationalizations, our drill poll question presented by Lockett Law DUI and Criminal Defense. Ho, ho, ho. Know before you blow. Be safe driving this holiday season and call Lockett Law at 858-9818. What bowl do you want to see Florida in? You have four choices: the cotton against Memphis, the orange against Virginia, the sugar against maybe OU or Baylor, or the citrus against the Big Ten. 460 votes, Jeff Prosser.
Sugar is a runaway winner.
54%, orange 25%,
wow.
Citrus 12%, cotton only 9%. I guess nobody's interested in going out.
That's kind of
how
Jerry's world. I'm surprised you would rather play Virginia than Oklahoma. I'd look at the opponent more than the destination.
Yeah.
When I said that. So.
I wonder if these people look at destination first. So
I'm surprised that Florida fan would rather go to Orange Bowl than I'd rather go to New Orleans than Miami personally, only because I can go to Miami anytime. I don't need a reason,
agree.
Right? I don't need I go down to Miami, a week from Sunday for no reason at all. But, Louisiana would be more of a destination. So
you guys don't want to go slog it out
when
again
is
with
the game? When is this?
We're
going to be bouncing around, I'm sure, between the two of us, between holidays and being off. But when is the Sugar Bowl game compared? I know the Orange Bowl is kind of at a weird time.
Orange Bowl's at Monday after the NFL regular season. The Sugar Bowl's at Wednesday, I believe.
Which is actually New Year's night.
New Year's Day night.
Yeah, New Year's Day night. Gotcha.
All right, sports concepts and rationalizations coming your way. Good news for Van Jefferson. He has accepted an invite to the Reese's Senior Bowl, so he will go there, which is a good
Looks like an NFL receiver to me.
Yeah, I think he plays in
at the
league.
body size. He's not going to be a superstar, I don't think, but he can.
No, and he's not going to be a first-round pick with these receivers coming out, but he's a good player.
Yeah, he is symptomatic of what is this year's NFL draft. They talk like in watching football, I believe them that it might be the deepest receiver draft ever.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Yeah,
the talent is that good.
Isn't that crazy?
At that position. I think it says wonders since we're talking college ball. I just want to drop this in here in case we don't get it somewhere else. But Kyle Trask won a 12 finalist for the Manning Award.
Jeez.
That's amazing. He's a guy who would not have played this year if Felipe Frank didn't crack his ankle. Guy who hadn't started a game since 8th grade before this year.
So you got to give Trask credit. You got to give Mullen credit. And you got to understand that sometimes there's good players out there who just haven't gotten an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
This kid what if this kid had never gotten to play?
You never know.
I mean, what a belief in himself to continue on to slog.
And some NFL team would have just been lambasted for signing him to the practice squad or third because he's never quarterbacked a game. But
because obviously you see some things with him when he works out. He showed up at at Friday Night Lights or whatever it was, threw the ball around, and Nuss and McElwain offered him a Scully, and everybody was like, "What? Who are you giving this to?" I mean,
yeah.
So
Florida got a top 250 recruit.
Clay County
yesterday.
Gator has a good point before you say that. If you want him in the sugar, that means Georgia wins.
I don't care. I haven't thought it that far. Yeah.
Florida's getting a couple guys, so they should be, though. My goodness, so it's good to see, though.
Do you think the SEC would – I'm sorry. They did. And one of Florida – by the way, Dan Mullen has a 5-star. One of the 4-stars matriculated to a 5-star this season. Mm-hmm. So one of the guys that committed in June as a 4-star is now a 5-star. So we can actually say he's recruited and signed a 5-star. The conferences place the teams. So if Georgia loses, there's a lot of scenarios that the Georgia LSU game that wouldn't shock me. Say Georgia gets hammered, though.
Yeah.
I mean, what if LSU beats them 31-10, 38-10, something like that?
Okay.
Would the SEC then, because Georgia was in the Sugar Bowl last year, would the SEC send Georgia to the Orange Bowl to mix it up? Because then Georgia and Florida are going to be ranked about the same, by the way.
Yeah.
If Georgia goes in and gets peppered by LSU, one of the two is going to be one spot ahead of the other in the rankings.
Right.
And so then if you're the SEC, well, Georgia was in the Sugar Bowl last year against Texas and played a Big 12. Let's send them to play the ACC in the Orange Bowl. I don't know, maybe.
I would, but I don't know if there's rules stipulating that you have to take the highest ranked or whatever.
I don't know. I don't know that either. I do know I do know though that the conferences play a role. The bowls don't get to choose all the time. Like in the Gator Bowl, they're going to get who the conferences tell them they're getting.
Right.
Now they can lobby, obviously, but Joey Gatewood I see is going to transfer to Kentucky.
Perfect spot for him. Congratulations.
Boy, it's just another
and a great get for Kentucky, by the way.
Sure.
I think Joey Gatewood is potentially a star. We'll see how he does, but I think that's terrific news for him and for Kentucky. And if I'm Florida, I'm a little bit disappointed that he went to Kentucky.
The receiver who has been forced to play a quarterback. What's his what class is he? Is he a senior?
I think he can come back.
He's also an NFL level guy, right?
But the league, but he'll go back to receiver.
Correct, but I'm saying you pair him with I'm saying he has a weapon there right away. That was more my point. Boy, it's just another what if for FSU, though. What if Mark Stoops had stayed in your plans and not said he wasn't a candidate, and he had brought Joey Gate with him to Tallahassee? You could have solved two problems with one hire, as it turns out.
Yeah, that's true. Still waiting on the FSU situation. We'll see. Everybody kind of starting to accept it's Mike Norvell and trying to find the good and the bad with him. So we'll see. But
where would you, if you had to put a percentage on it, is Mike Norvell, where would you put it?
Pretty high.
Like 70 or 80?
If
it's not him, who is it? Not a lot out there.
Yeah.
Unless at least names that we haven't, unless it's just a name out of nowhere we haven't even reached.
No, it's not him.
He's got a championship game this weekend, too.
Yeah.
That's all Jimmy Butters does is go to title games.
Lane
buddy.
Train has a championship game. Maybe it's him.
Oh, I brought up earlier this week. Why not Lane Kiffin? Yeah. I would be okay with that if I was an FSU fan.
I actually was talking to my son Drew, FSU fan Drew, and I told him, I said, well, honestly, I'd rather have Lane Kiffin. He said, you can't afford, it's too big of a risk. I say, why is it too big of a risk? He goes, because he was a disaster. I go,
not really.
He's got head coaching experience
and he wasn't a disaster.
He wasn't.
He went 7-6 at Tennessee.
Yeah, he wasn't good at SC. He got fired on the tarmac. That wasn't good. But he was younger then. He's a heck of an offensive play caller. I had heard that maybe
he's put some meat on his bones.
I had heard that maybe he wanted the Tampa gig, and I think Arkansas was talking to him as well. Ole Miss factors in. It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes down with all these openings now. And really, they're chasing all the same guys, so getting ahead of the game. They didn't want to get ahead of the game to get the search going. They wanted to have a reason to get rid of Taggart.
And they also wanted some time to round up some cash for the boosters. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
This pledge drive that they've had to do just to come up with money to change coaches.
What about this one? The search firm that they hired, and these aren't inexpensive, by the way. So you hire this search firm. The search firm has a clause in the contract that if you're not completely satisfied, we'll do it again for you in 2 years, absolutely free. So if it goes bad again, at least you can count on the same search firm to help you find another coach for no charge. However,
in case they fail.
Why? Yeah. However, my question would be, why would you hire the same search firm?
I know you guys brought us a real dud, but let's do it again.
If they fail you. So, yeah, the Lynn Bowden kid's a junior, so he'll make his decision after this year as well. So, anyway, I guess the big news in baseball, the Yankees are zeroing in on Garrett Cole. That's no surprise, right?
Yeah, but I guess the talk is, probably he won't sign until January.
He won't. He's going to wait and let everything
wait it out. Yeah. Everybody thinks Rendon's going to be the first domino to fall.
And where's he going?
Who knows? Probably the Dodgers because they have the most money.
The Dodgers, right?
If he waits 5 years, he can go to the Mets.
That's right. Well, actually, the good news there is the guy's going to be taking over a little bit quicker than we thought. What about Strasburg? What's the latest on him? I think he ends up staying in Washington. I didn't realize he's sort of a quirky dude. He doesn't like to talk. He can hide behind Scherzer in Washington. The Padres really would love to have the hometown kid. That would be a great natural fit. But I'm not sure he wants to be like the spokesman.
Yeah, well, and the owner came out and said that they can't retain both those guys.
The Nats
sort of,
owner?
Yeah, so sort of when you read between the lines.
We're going to get Strasburg and let Rendon go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they'll probably win another world championship, and you'll sit there and scratch your head. I got to think if you lose Harper and Rendon back-to-back, you can't overcome that. They certainly overcame Bryce Harper, though. They got better. Addition by subtraction.
I think that when it comes to Philly, the other side, and I know Strasburg isn't a Philly, but I think Girardi makes all the difference.
Girardi.
That's what scares me. Philadelphia added all the we have somehow conveniently forgotten that Philly was the runaway choice to win the division.
Oh, yeah.
And the Braves, in many of the prognostications, in some, if not many, in some were the fourth place pick behind even the Mets.
Yes.
So I'm not afraid of Philly's talent acquisitions as we keep it in the division. I'm more worried that they actually have a manager who's not a complete bozo.
Well, if we're going to stay in the division, what make you of the big Marisnik deal?
The Mets got Marisnik yesterday.
Jake
They
Marisnik,
scoured the league and they said,
defensive replacement.
They're like, the fifth outfielder for the World Series runner-up looks like a major splash.
You think they got Springer?
I say fifth. I mean, I really do think
that what
he's like
happened?
fourth or fifth there. It would be
He is, yeah.
It'd be like trading for, Markakis.
The truth of the matter is that, no, not even. Markakis is a much better player. The truth of the matter is they got Marisnik's a good defensive center fielder, and so they tried to add a little defense to their lineup when he plays, and it gives them options. And so we'll
the hot
see.
rumor is that he's also bringing the trash can, so it's a big get for the Mets.
Oh.
Where do you think, Dan, this is one of
Teach us, Jake.
one of the fun things about having a longer historical perspective
Yes.
is, on one hand, just being completely oblivious to the changing opinion of like a franchise or a player. In other words,
Right.
in our generation, when we were younger, the Dallas Cowboys, I think, hope people understand, were the marquee franchise maybe in all of sports along with the Yankees.
Yes.
All of sports.
Yes.
They would take all of your, Tom Brady and the Patriots. They could take it all and combine it. It would not equal the entity that was the Dallas Cowboys in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
And no matter where you are, I remember when the Dolphins, I grew up in Miami, and the Dolphins hosted the Cowboys just, because of the scheduling. It's as a kid, you were like, it was a huge deal, man. It's
Right.
the Cowboys.
Correct.
And you also, then you're shocked to find out how many Cowboy fans there were. No matter, this is in the 70s,
Yeah.
late 70s.
Are they
And
still?
you're like, whoa.
Are they still on that perch? Do our kids think the Dallas Cowboys are a special franchise, or do they just think they're just another team?
I don't think they think they're another team, but I don't know if they're still on that perch because they haven't won, but they still carry something. I think when we were talking yesterday about this Supreme Court thing and TV and all that, I think if Jerry seceded from the NFL and struck his own deal, he's the one team bigger than the Steelers,
like
maybe.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Notre Dame and Dallas Cowboys are real similar.
Yes.
They have the same kind of hierarchy. Every team through social media, visibility, TV coverage. That's another thing that made Dallas. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
They always put Dallas on. They always put Notre Dame on back when you didn't get every game.
Right.
Back before even sports bars. I mean, literally, the game that was on that week was whatever was on your TV.
Right.
There was no running around the corner or logging on or anything else. So, does this surprise you? Since the Jacksonville Jaguars entered the NFL, they have more playoff wins than the Dallas Cowboys do?
And that's something.
And that includes the Cowboys winning a Super Bowl in 95.
Yeah. Wow.
Dallas has won 7 playoff games.
What a disaster.
And so the Jags and all their troubles. And
This one is hard. This one, Jerry messed him up this year, I think.
Well,
Jerry
he's just
talked too
continued.
much.
Now he does. He's like every week. Now it's just it's
I
overwhelming.
think Jerry threw him under the bus a little bit, and then now Garrett's dead man walking. And we sat here yesterday. In all honesty, we played around earlier with the Bears pick and Cowboys pick, and it's hard to pick the Bears in that game. The Cowboys have so much more talent. The Cowboys should go to Chicago and win that game with ease, and they didn't. And the fallout
It was the other way. I mean, they were down big.
They're not. They remind. You know what they remind me
hammered.
of? They're that team. Their fan base got to be so frustrated. They are kind of like how we were last year. The Jags start 3-1. They lose a few in a row, but in your heart you believe they're still a good team. One game they'll turn it around. And it's not coming for the Cowboys either. There's not that turnaround game. Now they've gone from 6-4 to 6-7. And if they win the division, it'll be strictly by default. Jason Garrett is an awful coach who's getting nothing out of his team. Nothing.
Yeah. By
By the way, in that same time frame to keep it like related to the Jags. Since they won the Super Bowl in 1995, the Cowboys have not won a playoff game that wasn't a wild card game. The wild card is the furthest that they've won. The furthest in the NFL playoffs that they've won, having been to a conference championship game in 23 years.
They host the Rams, they go to Philly, and they finish with the Redskins.
Yeah, they're going to go 6-7. They're going to go 7-9.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're going to lose to I think they're going to lose to the Rams, and they're going to lose to the Eagles. Although the Rams are kind of like the Cowboys.
In my heart of hearts, and I don't know, I don't watch the Cowboys as much, so I don't know who's getting all the blame. You can blame Jason Garrett, whomever. It's still a players' league, in my opinion, and somebody's not doing it right.
They have a lot of talent. It's
That's
just
what I'm saying.
confounding. I mean, that offense is just – I mean, you got good players and a good line.
But in my heart of hearts, I believe that the Dallas Cowboys should be slugging it out with the Niners and the Packers.
Yeah, me too.
And be right there at 9-3 or 10-2 like everybody else in the NFC. The good teams, the Saints.
You get suckered into believing, like we talked yesterday, well, here they are. They could go 7-9, win the division, and they're not pulling an upset over a good team.
No,
it's too
they
late.
They haven't beaten a good team all year.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to the playoffs. I think that they will lose this. And the Eagles, by the way, are equally terrible.
Yes.
But they've had a reason. They haven't had, I mean, their entire offense has been missing all year. Wentz hadn't had his receivers all year. If it's not Jeffrey, it's Aguilar or both. And, they're picking up the Deshaun Jackson's gotten hurt. I mean, they've had to count on a rookie running back.
All right, one more item in the 10-minute drill. Miles Jack goes on IR. Disappointing season, no doubt. I think going forward, Miles Jack, the Jags really need to figure this out and decide one way or the other, and whomever needs to make that decision is, what is he? Because his best year, he was not a middle linebacker. Right? His best year was his rookie season. And the transition now is 2 years in. And I do believe he went on IR more as precautionary than anything. In other words, if they were 8-4,
sure,
he would have come back and played some football for him. But because there was a little bit of question about the knee coming in, and why risk anything at all? Why not let him get healthy?
Agree with
There's
that.
no
if there's
point
anybody on the football team, then
dump him.
Especially on defense.
IR.
Offense needs the reps, so they're terrible. I mean, they have a lot of proving to do.
Right.
Not that the defense has been good, but I don't want to bang up my –
No.
I almost said unfortunately. I don't mean unfortunately, but the reality now is you're tied to Miles Jack for years.
Yeah,
you gave him money and an extension.
Well, hopefully, fortunately.
I thought –
But I think the bigger issue with Miles Jack is they got to identify – I'm still, again, and I'm not an X's and O's guy, and they continue to say middle linebacker. I just don't know. Maybe he's best on the outside, and if you can find a middle linebacker via free agency or in the draft, then let's make our defense better by moving Miles back to the outside.
Well, it's strange to me that when he came into the league, we talked about a guy who was able to go out and cover Nelson Aguilar in a college football game because they didn't have anyone to cover.
The dude can run. We've seen him make plays. In 2017, he made plays. At the beginning of 2018, remember he had the pick six against the Giants?
Why wouldn't you have him as the strong side linebacker playing over a tight end and then blitzing off of that?
I don't know.
Get him on the edge so he can utilize his athleticism. Todd Wash said something yesterday, though, and it concerns me about Miles Jack. Beef, cut two, and then I'll tell you, listen to this soundbite from Todd Wash as Miles Jack's fourth year comes to an end, and see if anything jumps out to you like it did to me.
I think if you talk to Miles, and obviously we have, I think his performance, he feels he's a little up and down. He wants to get more consistency within his play. I know he has it in him. I think he's going to be an exceptional, linebacker, regardless where it's at. But I think if you talk to him, he'd say he'd like to have a little bit more consistency. But I like where he's going.
Well, what stuck out to me is, what was the question? Because he said, I think he's going to be an excellent linebacker regardless of where he's at.
I think they may have asked him if there's will he be moved? I think that had to be.
It had to be, right?
What jumped out at me, which is just, when you really think about what he said and don't accept it for other than the cliche, is how can a linebacker in his fourth year, Dan Hicken, be battling consistency? I think if you are chalking up Miles Jack's play to consistency, you're missing. No, we're 4 years in. What's the reason for the consistency? That's the problem. Whether it's talent, whether it's and I'm not saying, I'm just talking about things that lead to inconsistently or consistently or poor play. It's talent, it's dedication, it's film work, it's something, it's instinct, it's football IQ, it's something else. You're not just naturally inconsistent. You play linebacker. You're not a hitter in a slump or a quarterback who overthrows one out of every three. Mm-hmm. You're a middle linebacker playing on instinct and testosterone. What consistency are we talking about? Like assignment following?
Yeah, he misses tackles, gets out of the lanes. I guess I'm not, again,
I would
you'd have
say
to
after
break that down.
Yeah, I'd say after 4 years, if you're missing tackles, you're not an inconsistent tackler. You're a bad tackler. You're in the NFL.
Yeah. Let's do caller number 2, Beef. We'll come back, do the Friday 5-pack. It's nip and tuck, man. Nip and tuck. And at stake here are 2 spin wheels for Jeff Prosser, just 1 for Danny Boy. But that's we're going down to the wire here, it looks like. So this could get ugly. There could be fisticuffs before this thing. This could be the end of Mike and the Mad Dog. It's coming up next.
Our lucky Cougar today on the 10-minute drill going to take home a floral arrangement delivered by our friends at Kuhn Flowers, 641-1010.